Okay, so Mr. Johnson, hi. Mr. Johnson is here today to speak to you about careers. Imagine that, right? So he has some very interesting stories, and so we'll let him take the floor, all right? And we clap. There we go.
There we go. Nice. Well, as Mr. Tauchi said, I am Mr. Johnson. I'm a school counselor here. I spent 27 years at Champlain Park High School. I was born in 1962. I have 3 grandchildren, 1, 2.5, and 4 years old. Ellie is very funny. She would say she's 4.5. Anybody got younger brothers or sisters or even nieces and nephews that are young? You know how they just talk, yeah. They can get so excited about the smallest thing. Little Ellie will say, I am excited, she calls me Meepaw. I'm excited about going to the park. You excited to go to the park? What do you like at the park? Oh, I love the slide. You know, she loves the slide. You want to go out and make snowballs? Yeah, let's go make snowballs. Meepaw, can we go do this? And then little Vinny, he's still excited about just anything. I show up and he comes running at the door. He's just excited to see me, right? It's this excitement thing. When my son, who's now 30, was just probably 2.5, he took all these cans and he had stacked them up in a row. So he was probably, 2.5, was about this tall. And then he had stacked these cans up, Coke cans. And he was so excited about, and I was scraping, painting up in the thing. He kept coming up to me, kept grabbing my pant pocket going, you know, Dad. He couldn't hardly talk. He was like, Dad. Kept grabbing me, Dad. I'm like, I'm busy, right? I'm just scraping away, I'm working. And he's like, Dad. Finally, I turned and said, what? Just kind of ticked off because he's just bugging me. And he goes, look. And I went, what? He goes, look. And he starts walking over. And he had stacked these cans, but that wasn't what he was proud about. He was proud about the fact that the top can he had turned sideways. And it was just rocking back and forth in the wind. And I went, Jake, did you do that? And he goes, yeah! He just got so excited. He was just like, oh, he was the God of the universe. He was so pumped. Now I ask you, when's the last time you felt like, Jake, somebody saw you do something incredibly genius? When's the last time that you woke up and you thought, I'm bringing me today. I'm bringing me. I'm going to, whatever it is. Hey, right? Look at this. Look. I tell you that story because if you're sitting here right now in this class and you're apathetic about your life and where you're going and what you have been destined to do, we got to get that back. And if you've never had it, we've got to get you excited about it. Truly, truly, that inside in your gut you can go, yeah, look at that, right? Look at that. So I got a video I want to show you. In the video, there's a couple of lines. One that really stands out with me is, even the greats have doubts, but they don't park there. They don't stay there. It's about 5 minutes, so just bear with it. And then while I'm watching the video, I want you to think about what you're excited about for you. How do I click on that?
Your cursor should just change to that.
If I just tap on it?
Yes.
Oop, no, it went back. Do you have one of those mouses? Will that work with this now?
The mouse?
Yeah, I want to click on that.
Oh, if we go, yeah, you're plugged into there.
Let's get this. Let's see what's going on here. No mouse.
It's plugged in. That's plugged in. Now try it. No mouse?
No.
Yes, because I needed the lock in.
I need to restart the maybe we need to restart the. Oh, allow?
Let me
I'll say allow.
Allow, yeah.
There it comes.
There it is.
All right, here we go. No, I just did it.
Okay, catch this right from the beginning.
I got 80%.
No sound.
Forbidden the coma, and you truly believing
Here we go.
circuit switch.
Sorry. Here we go.
Your brain is like a circuit switch. Once you believe you are something, you actually embody it. You embody that feeling. If you were, God forbid, in a coma, and you woke up and you didn't really have a memory, and you were told that you used to be a Navy SEAL, and they want you back now when you're healthy, do you think you'd act differently and hold yourself differently, conduct yourself different, have a different self-concept of who you are than if you were told you were a piano instructor? Being successful in life is all about having the proper belief system in who you are. Truly believing that you are something unique, that you are something special in that field. If you truly believe inside of you that you are one of the best actors in the world, you will be entirely different than if you're like, I hope I'm good. Your expressions will be totally different. Your tone of voice. You'll talk in a more convincing fashion. You'll use your natural voice instead of a scripted one. You'll be more emphatic. You'll be more real, more relatable. Our brain is like a circuit. And so if we introduce it with the proper wiring, you're going to go straight to your target. If you're unsure about who you are, then your dreams, your goals, they will never become a reality. Everyone has mental doubts in life, internal conflicts. Even the most successful people that you look up to. But they don't live there. It's how you handle those negative thoughts in that exact moment and overwhelm them with positive action. And that comes with this utmost confidence in yourself that you can handle the situation. Trust in yourself that you are better than the moment.
Another video.
The greats think differently. The greats see differently, right? The greats have a different worldview. The greats, they approach the game in a totally different way. So I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. Because if you can get this, you can get any success you want in life. You can have anything you want in life if you can get this. The next time you give a low effort, right? You give it 70% or 50% or 30%. I want you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. If your effort is low, you're probably not thinking about the opportunity, you're probably thinking about the obligation. And when you think about E.T., how you stay pumped up? E.T. how you stay on fire? E.T. how you always driven? Even in the midst of trials and tribulations, even in the midst of your haters, when people try to break you and tear you down, E.T. how you stay strong? I keep thinking about the opportunity. Every single day, I'm thinking about the opportunity, and I'm not looking at this thing as an obligation. I'm not looking at this thing as something that I have to do, or that I'm forced to do, right? Something that somebody's making me do. Every time I wake up, I'm thinking, I'm alive, baby, this is today. This is an opportunity. If you want what you've never had before, if you want to do what you've never done before, if you want to be what you've never been before, change your mentality. And I want you to see that effort goes up when you look at it as, I got an opportunity of a lifetime. But you should be excited about the fact that you have an opportunity.
If you're a marketer in
All right, how do I get out of that? So what do you think of that video? Any words stand out to you? What stood out to you in that video? Anyone? Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. What stood out? Anything grabbed your attention? Yeah.
It was very strong and passionate. The person talking clearly meant what they said. And
Yeah.
had goals.
What's the message? What's the message? Yeah.
Take opportunities when you see them.
Do what?
Take opportunities when you see them.
Yeah.
Don't procrastinate.
Don't procrastinate. Take opportunities. What did he say about the opportunities? You need to be what?
Ambitious.
Ambitious, but you hit a word. You have to be
Excited.
excited. Thank you. You have to be excited about the opportunities. Sometimes in our Scandinavian culture, by and large here in Minnesota, if you were born and raised here, we don't tend to, get very excited about things, and we tend to be kind of neutral or flat or whatever. But I want you to change your thinking here a little bit about your life and what you might do with your life. And it really is not about your vocation or your career, but it's what you bring to whatever vocation or career that you choose to do. I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, I don't care if you're a mechanic, HVAC, plumber, electrician. Yesterday I was down for I'm getting my eyes fixed. We got a genetic thing with our eyes in my family where you get too much skin over here in the eyes and it's hard to see after a while, and so I'm going to get that fixed. Well, when I went in there was this gal that taped my eyes up to do the check for the doctor, and I said, "What is this job that you're doing?" She goes, "Well, I'm a ophthalmologist assistant." I said, "Well, did you have to get training for that?" She goes, "You can, but you can also do apprenticeship, things." And she was very good at what she did, and she was excited about what she was doing there. My wife's a dental hygienist. She went to Normandale to get her 2-year degree. She makes somewhere in that $85,000 a year. She's been doing it for 20 years. But it isn't what she does in terms of cleans teeth and all that. It's who she is that she gets the cards from her patients. It's who she is that gets people excited to come in year after year, 6 months after 6 months. They have to meet with her. They have to be with her. They won't even come in when she had a broken arm and she was out for 3 months. People decided that they didn't want to even come in until she was back. That isn't about cleaning teeth, right? That's about who she was and what she brought. My wife, Lisa, brings what she is and who she is. I hope that here as a school counselor that I bring it, if you will. I want to come into my office and you come in. I hope that you feel a little something different, a little special, that I'm actually engaged with you in the work that we're talking about. I don't care if it's a schedule change. I don't care if it's problems with a teacher. I don't care what it is. I hope that you sense that I'm there to hear you and to be engaged. And when you leave, you go, huh. And when I get a card or if I get a note from somebody, it makes me feel good about what I'm doing. And I get excited about the work that I get to do every day. I retired. And I missed you all. I miss coming into the schools and miss talking to students. And I was excited about those things. And I've been doing it for this is my 28th year. And I'm still excited about that. Am I supposed to be in front of this camera?
I got you.
Sorry about that. Sorry about whoever's trying to watch this. I'm moving around. All right. So a little bit about me. I'm supposed to tell you about my careers and get you some of the ideas here. And I think you have to write something about this, right, in your write-up and stuff. But I've had a few jobs. You can see on the list here. Lawn mowing was my first job in 8th grade. Holiday gas station was from 10th grade until I graduated high school. I was a shift leader there, and that meant that I had to open the Holiday gas station on the weekends and run the till and go into the vault, and you just kind of work your way up in Holiday. And I actually at one point had considered going into their management program and decided now I'm going to go to school to be a youth pastor. And so I left Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, went down to Minneapolis, and started my journey to be a youth pastor. Well, my school counselor told me, Doyle, you better have a different plan. I had one meeting with my school counselor one time. She was a great gal. In fact, I just met her a couple of years ago and saw her again. She's retired, obviously. She's fairly old now, but she looked at me and said, you better have a secondary plan. You're not going to make it in college. How about that for words of encouragement? Literally, she said that. You will not make it in college. Do you know why she said that? Because I had a D average for my GPA. 1.8, something like that. Maybe it's a D plus, I guess is what it would be. We were extremely poor when I grew up. In our home, it was all about survival and getting through another week. Had 6 kids in the family. I lived in a trailer house, and it was literally about, getting through. And the focus on school was not there. My dad was a truck driver. He was gone most of the time. He'd come back, and then we would, try to, we used to light fires under our Jeep when it was 20 below up in the Detroit Lakes. And we were on a road that oftentimes didn't get plowed until last. Gravel road out in the boondocks south of the Detroit Lakes. And at that time, there was no one else that lived on the road, and so we had to have a vehicle that could get out, and didn't have a garage, and so the vehicle sat outside, and we had to light fires underneath it to warm it up. They didn't have tank heaters, or if they did, I don't think we could, have them. But Dad would tell me all the time, he said, son, don't worry about high school. It doesn't matter. Well, what he didn't realize is that not learning how to study, not learning how to read, not learning how to do certain things is going to create obstacles. I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute, but I just give you that as a precursor to the story about the obstacles and about what you're going to do with your life. So, looking at my life, where I was at as a junior in high school, I can bring you right to the locker that I pounded my head up against the wall and said, I'm out of here. I just can't do this. I'm not skilled to be here. I'm going to go be a truck driver and or be something in construction that just doesn't And so I left school. I quit for about 30 seconds. I walked out of school. I walked to my car. It's a 1968 Chevy Nova that I had paid for with my work at Holiday Gas Station. And I thought to myself as I'm walking, if I quit, I'm not sure who would hire me. And I'd probably be viewed as someone that's just not going to be very successful. My dad was a high school dropout, and he had talked about at times how he struggled to, obviously prove himself. And so in the back of my mind, I had this idea that I need to do something, at least finish high school. And then I got involved with my local church, and I got inspired to want to continue to work with people that were struggling and to find purpose and significance in their life. And I thought, I could do that. I want to do that, so I'm going to college. Well, my counselor said, you can't do that. You're not going to make it. After my first year at college, the dean called me into his office, was not very polite about it. He said, Doyle, if you don't have a B average at the end of this try, you're going to be out of here at the end of the semester. And I said, okay. And it wasn't like he didn't say, hey, bud, so it looks like you're struggling here a little bit. How can we help you? He looked at me and said, get your act together or you're done. We can't have you here. We let you in under academic probation, but if you're not going to perform, well, I didn't, I was a great guy. I was very nice and fun and everything else, but I didn't know how to study. Cried like a baby when I walked out because I said, yep, this guy found me out. He realizes everything that I had about myself, my own fears that I couldn't do this. I would never make it through college. I just need to do what I thought I was going to do as a junior in high school, which is I just need to go do some construction jobs. And threw my backpack in the back of my Chevy Nova and still had it. And I'm staring at the library. And I got this question in my head, and I hope that this question will stick with you. The question I got was, what if I actually went into the library and actually gave myself the time that I need to study. Stop judging myself for what I don't think I can do, but what if I actually just did it? And from that moment on, I had, I think, if I look at my transcript, maybe 1 B in my undergraduate work. My last 2 years were straight A's. I went back and earned a second undergraduate degree and had all A's in that, which got me into my master's program to go on to be a school counselor, which I had top of the class. Imagine that, a kid from high school that had never actually read a book in high school went from that to being in the top of my master's class. How do you think I felt? Not even close. I mean, it was just like Jake when I said, hey, did you do that? I mean, inside, I didn't boast or talk to my family or anything else, but when inside, I was like when I got that degree at the master's level, when I finished that, I was like, yeah, that's how I felt. And I got that sense of excitement about it. It's about feeling like you can do things and legitimately move. Now, listen, the obstacles, as I said I was going to talk about, as I move through each one of these things, there isn't a job out there that didn't create those moments of doubt. Even the greats have doubt, but they don't park there. All of you are going to have doubts. You're going to hit the doubts. I don't care if you're anybody aspiring to be a doctor here or anything in the medicine room. Anybody? Not one? Huh? How about, right there? So you're going to have to take organic chemistry. That class is going to kick your butt. Anybody that's going to go into anything with medicine, most of the time you got to do organic chemistry. Yeah?
I'm going to be a vet.
Vet?
Yeah.
You even got it doubly hard because you're going to have to work at, yeah, you do. Because, they don't talk back to you, so they have to train you in so many things. But you're going to hit these walls, right, where all of a sudden there's this obstacle. You might have to retake the class. But it's going to be in that moment that you're going to have to say, even the greats have doubts, but they don't park there. You don't stay there. You don't vacation in the doubts. You've got to be able to move through those things. I tell you my personal story to tell you that there's no logical reason except for I give God the praise that I've been able to move through each one of these occupational obstacles, if you will. So I went to Holiday, and of course, I go to college and I'm working at Courier Dispatch. It's no longer a company, I don't believe, in the metro area. But for 4 years, I worked from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock, and then I studied in the evening to get my first undergraduate degree. And then my first 12 years, I was a youth pastor. I was going to try to find some pictures of the churches that I was at. One was out in Eden Prairie for 3 years. Our youth group went from 20 kids to over 150, and then the church grew from like 150 people to well over 3,000 at that time. And it was just a fantastic experience of bringing kids down to different countries for medical. I used to bring medical and dental buses down into Mexico, different cities in Mexico. And it was just so cool to be a part of contributing and giving back. I just can't speak more highly about the years that I had as a youth pastor. But then, you get older at 30 years old, had wife and a child and thought, got another one on the way. Being a youth pastor requires a lot of evenings, a lot of weekends. I thought, I'll go back and become a school counselor. And that's when, I was, actually I want to back up just a little bit in my history here. While I was a youth pastor, between jobs, I actually did a job that was called, I was a speaker, I guess what you said. Was traveling around talking to people, and I got a sidekick with that was to promote these conferences that I was going out. So I was talking to the Catholic Church. I was out working with the Catholic Renewal, and we had at that time Meadowlark Lemon. Many of you don't know who he is, but he was a part of the Harlem Globetrotters, I believe. And we had him and a bunch of other people that were really great speakers and coordinated in these retreats. I traveled all over the country speaking. I was speaking to 5,000 people in an audience at a time. Sometimes it was 3,000, but yeah, it was phenomenal to stand there and have an opportunity. There's nothing like having your spiel down and you get 5,000 people with you and they're clapping and everything else. But that was only a 2-year run between my jobs, and I realized at that moment, that's not who I am. I like to actually get to know people and work and get to see. And so I went back to being a youth pastor on the local level. Went to Manassas, Virginia after I left Eden Prairie. I did a 2-year run, like I said, in speaking, public speaking, but then I went to Manassas. From there I went out to Wilmer, Minnesota, and that was my last run at youth pastoring until I became, I went into silo repair. I want to show you a picture of that between that time. So I've got a little bit of, if you're ever interested in talking about careers of organizing, I think there's a name for them, event coordinators. That's what I was doing. So you could look into that. But in between the jobs of youth pastoring and help paying for my master's degree, I was a guy that did this. Oh, what's it doing here? Oh, never mind. I'll show you this here. This is me. Between the jobs, my last youth pastor job, or between Eden Prairie and my, that's me flying down in Texas. I became a hang gliding instructor as well. So I teach this kind of technique here in Minnesota. I've got my own boat and I teach all that stuff. But there it is. I could play that whole thing if you want to see it later. Yeah.
You have hang glided before. Lily, have you?
How was it?
What's that?
Nothing. Hang glided. No, I'm not.
Her hand almost went up.
Yeah. Well, I teach people how to do this, and it's been a great experience to do that. I apologize for how slow I'm moving through this stuff. I don't remember how to do half of this stuff. I just want to get back to my slideshow.
It's right there, that little green little blip there. If you click on that. There you go.
There's the silos. So look at that. That's the black and white checkered silos. Those are Hanson silos. And for 6 years while I was doing my master's program and everything else, see the picture on the left? That's a silo unloader. And I'd go inside the silos like that. You had to pay attention because you got silo gas, you got silo mold. Anybody here been up in a silo? Well, they hardly use these anymore in Minnesota. Everything has gone to what they call bunker silos. But for 6 years, you see that chute that goes up on the left side there in the picture? That chute is where they throw the feed up into the silo, and then the unloader hangs from the top. And all winter long, that unloader, has got an auger on the wall there. You can see that goes around and it kicks the feed out. The smaller farms still have those, but in my late 30s and early 40s, I was a service tech for farmers. I'd go around, and believe it or not, I made more part-time while I was in my master's program. Being a part-time sales, Hanson Silo set me up as an independent dealer in the St. Cloud area. And so all the way from Rice and Little Falls, all the way down to Cold Spring and all those farmers that were in that area, I was a service tech and also was a salesman. And so I'd go in and I would repair those unloaders. I would fix outside chutes. I would fix the main chute that you'd walk up on, anything that was in there. Sometimes I'd be going into rooms that rats would be falling on my head because you'd open up the door, and there was rats in them, and it was not a pretty job at times, but it was also very fun and it was very lucrative. I think my last year I was making $90,000, and here's my schedule. I would go out from in the afternoon from 2 till 5 in the afternoon once I finished my classes at college, and I'd go out and I would drum up work during the week, and then on Saturdays and Sundays I'd go do the work. Well, in an unloader, you could do it's called a Revive It kit on that unloader right there, which would be replacing bearings and augers and those type of things, and they cost $2,100, and I got 20% of that, which is how much? What's 20% of 2,100, roughly? You know this. 10%, 2,100, 210, 20%, $420, and then I would get the install, which is about $500 that we charge for the install of all that work. And I could do 2 of those on a Saturday morning and 2 on Saturday night, and so I could make $3,000, $4,000 easily on a weekend doing that install work. I quit it. In fact, my first 2 years as a school counselor, I kept doing it because I needed to augment my salary. Because when I started as a school counselor, how many could guess what I made as a school counselor my first year up at Anoka Hennepin? Any guesses? You want to guess? Go ahead.
$50,000.
Nice. Good work.
Was it $50,000?
Nope. That's what you'd think, though, right? $28,000. Thank you for the guess. Right? And I had 2 kids and a wife, and I'm like, okay, I got to augment it. So I kept my for a couple of years, and then my salary started to jump up to get to that 50,000 range. But you know, you contrast. I've worked my whole life and didn't break that 100,000 mark. And my son, younger son, who's 28, he started his job over 140 as an actuary in math. Everybody know what an actuary is? Actuaries are the ones that crunch all the numbers for example, insurance companies when they want to figure out how many people are going to crash because of deer. You know, how many deer accident claims are they going to have? And insurance companies measure how much they're going to charge us for insurance just based on how many deer claims they're going to have. Actuaries crunch the numbers and they help people with that. And so they pay them very well. But you have to get on way up in the math. You got to be one of those math junkies and like that stuff. But anyway, my son Zach now is doing a different career because he knew that he's doing the same thing in insurance, but he does product, you know, sales and stuff like that because he likes working with people. But you'll find that. But the thing is, when I tell you this story here, the obstacle for me to go on to my master's degree was all about money. How do I pay for having kids, a house, and be able to go to school? And you know, sometimes you just get grit and you do what you can do there. So I recap a couple of things here. What did I do in high school? I was a lawnmower, started doing lawnmower. I made $2 an hour for Irv Rapp mowing lawns all summer long. Did that for 2 summers. I saved that money to buy that first car I told you, and then worked at Holiday gas station. Then I worked at Courier Dispatch, and then I went to college and was working at Courier Dispatch. I also did a job construction-wise in college. Worked for my cousin who were building houses, and so I learned how to do carpentry trade and all kinds of things in the carpentry world. When I was in high school, my dad and I and my brothers went out to the woods, and I actually cut down out of a 40-acre plot. We cut all the logs down, and we milled them with my brother-in-law's mill. We milled our own logs for a log home that we built that's in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota yet to this day. We built our own rafters, and we did. I was I was in 9th grade. I was the plumber for the house. I had no idea how to plumb, but again, when you're poor, you just figure it out, right? And so those are the kind of the fun things about, you can have very challenging circumstances, but out of those circumstances, what becomes things that you can become excited about? My mom would get so angry at me when I'd say, I am so grateful for being raised poor. And she was like, oh, she was mad. She was just like, You know, because moms and dads, they want to make sure that their kids are taken care of and that they can do better, and they feel bad when they can't provide and they can't do certain things. Well, Mom was mad at me when I'd say that, and I said, no, I am. I said, I learned so much that to this day that I still use the skills that I learned back in the day when I was operating a boiler. When today you need to have a boiler's license to operate a boiler, but I had to go underneath and clean out the pilots for the boiler. Things that we just did as a kid that you go, oh, I can't believe we did that. But I learned things about that. I learned how to weld. I learned how to do carpentry. I learned how to do, my mom taught me how to sew. I can sew and fix things. I got 2 sewing machines at home. It's just fun. It's exciting to be involved with all these things. How much time do I have yet, mister?
No, you're good. 20 minutes.
20 minutes, perfect. So I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm going back and forth between these different careers and then this other storyline that I'm telling you within my story about my personal life, and I'm hoping you catch something here. And this is really what I hope that you catch. In every one of these things that I've done, even when I went back to get my master's degree and having to get that second undergraduate degree to get into a master's program, the obstacles that I faced were enough to make me just not be excited about myself. I had all kinds of self-doubts, but I kept coming back to this one thing. What if? What if I actually bring it? What if I come back to the table with what I can bring? What if? Now, I wanted to be, truth be told, I wanted to be an airline pilot. I did not want to stand here in front of you guys. That was not my goal. That wasn't my energy wasn't to come and be a school counselor. I wanted to be an airline pilot, but I am colorblind. And back in the 80s, between blues and purples, greens and browns, when you can't see back then, it was if all the radio communications would go out, they use these lights at the airport and they flash them to tell you whether or not you can land or you got to go around or when it's safe, so they flash if you lost communication. I couldn't see the difference between the white and the green. It just looked the same to me. And so I took the tests and all that, and Embry-Riddle said, well, you might be able to be a cargo pilot at some point. Well, fast forward 15 years later, with all the advances in technology, had I done that, had I ignored that message at that point, I would be able to be, a captain probably for Delta Airlines at this point, because they removed the restriction of colorblindness because technology has become so advanced that you don't have to, you can be colorblind and be a pilot yet now. But you hear what I'm saying? It's like you gotta keep pushing through and try to find your way even when you hit these obstacles. You are going to hit obstacles. If you're alive, you're gonna hit them. It's just a matter of fact. But let me tell you, here it is. It's the best I got for you. If you are not convinced of your own integrity, if you aren't convinced of what you can bring to the table, nobody is going to get you excited about what you have to offer. Now, I can go through my litany of things that I've done. I got 2 undergraduate degrees, a high school diploma, 2 undergraduate degrees. I've got, you with me? I got 2 undergraduate degrees. That's nearly, well, I kind of doubled up on the one, so it was about 6 years of schooling there. Then I've got 2 years of a master's degree, and then I've got another 2-year educational leadership degree. All told, probably about 12 years of studying, education. I've been married for 34 years. I've got 2 wonderful sons, and I have 3 grandchildren. My younger son is dating right now, and hopefully that works out, and I'll bring us some more. I have personally built 4 homes from the ground up. Yes. I've done all my own electrical, plumbing, not HVAC. I've done sheetrock. I've done all of the concrete work. I've done everything. and I just finished building my last place, hopefully out by where I teach hang gliding on my 10-acre lot that I've got right now. By all accounts, I think I can look back at my life right now and say, you know what? I'm pretty excited about where I've been. But I can also tell you that there are regrets. There are regrets of things that I wish I would have believed more in. I wish I would have pushed myself even harder. But given where I came from and where I ended up today, I feel pretty good about it. I really do. I get to look back and I go, yeah, that was good. But I'm not going to park there. I retired and said, I'm back here right now. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm actually working on my next thing, which is a couple of things that I want to do. But one, I'm working on some seminar material. Do you know that this guy that was a D person in high school is going to be presenting to your staff here, our staff, for staff development coming up on family systems thing? I'm going to be doing one of the presentations. Me, talking to teachers about things. How does that happen? That's pretty exciting for me. Now, Mr. Touch will be the only one in the staff when he comes in and sees that, because I'm not going to say that in front of the staff. I'm saying it here to think, I've got something to say. But now I could live in 1978 being the poor guy, the son of an alcoholic, truck driver dad, or I don't park there, I move past that, and I bring me the things that I can do, what I can offer. And this is the message that I really wanted to come in here and share with you all. In each one of the careers that I have done, I've tried to bring that sense of how do I push myself so I'm uncomfortable. It scares me to go stand in front of and speak in front of staff. I could speak in front of churches all day long, it never bothered me, but stand in front of a bunch of educated teachers and people that are critical thinkers, I got to think about what I'm thinking, right? I'm very comfortable here talking with you guys, but so you got to face your doubts, right? So they said, anybody got any? I got something I'll share, and they actually let me, the committee that reviews it, yeah, we kind of like that idea. It's like, oh crap, now I got to step in. But you get what I'm saying. Every place that you work, every place that you go, you've got to be the person that says, I'm going to show up and I want to bring something of myself to this place. And you will do great. You'll do great if you get people excited about the train that you run. Everyone just visualize your life as a train and people can jump on board and support you. But if you're not going somewhere, people don't get very excited about it, right? And I'm not saying that there's a value on whatever you do. I'm just saying make a commitment to jump in and do it. When I started as a school counselor 28 years ago, I had no idea that I was going to spend 28 years there. I've done some conducting of some family system seminars for churches. I love doing that. I enjoy that part of it. I've enjoyed raising my family. But I'll tell you, there's, somebody asked me in one of the previous classes about my regrets. I said, I really want to figure out what gravity is. Anybody know what that is? No? It's because we don't know what it is, right? We can see it, but we don't know what that is. I'm a hang gliding instructor. I love to teach flying, but gravity is our enemy. Doggone that gravity, it'll get you every time. And it doesn't respect anything for anybody. It'll always pull you back to earth. And that's why when I'm teaching hang gliding, I'm talking about. But I would love to go back and go to MIT or go to Air Force Academy and just audit and just be able to say, what is going on with gravity that we don't know what it is yet? I'd like to, not get a degree in it, but I just want to go see if I can't figure it out. My brain is just wired to say, what else can I do? What can I find and figure out and enjoy? I get excited about that. That is, I hope that has come through in my little spiel here, is that no matter what you are doing right now, what grade are you all? You're all mixed? Well, all I can tell you is you got to get excited about the opportunities. But if you're thinking of everything from, like the speaker said, if you're thinking about this from an obligation standpoint, that you are somehow obligated, it's such a weight. I just started my weigh down program. Every once in a while I started gaining too much weight, I got to weigh down. I don't like the weigh down process but I love when I step on the scale and I see the progress of it. I see the process of the weight coming off. So getting excited about who you are and what you're going to bring to whatever career it is the goal. It wasn't very exciting to be a silo and loader guy. It wasn't. So when I got into the sales part of it, Greg asked me to start selling product and material. I said, I'm not a salesman. I don't want to sell something. But you know what I did? I said, Greg, what I promise you that I can do for is I will go out and talk to 10 farmers a day. And I did. And you know what I actually became? I actually became an estate planner. Because at that time, so many of the farmers were at the age where they were going to have to sell their farm. But the farm was worth so much that they couldn't give it to their kids. They had to be able to. And so I sat at the kitchen table with these farmers and listened to what was going on in their life. That's all I did. Just start talking, and they were just, you know, well, what are you hearing from other people? Well, this is what I hear so-and-so thinks about doing. At the end of the conversations, regardless of what it was, I was just going out to meet them and talk to them and see how their life was. Regardless, it seemed like almost inevitably, I'm getting ready to leave, they'd say, hey, do you have a conveyor belt for us? I said, yeah, you want the good one or the cheap one? Now bring me the good one. And that's how the sales went. And I sold things left and right, but I wasn't, again, it was, they had an opportunity to talk with me and they felt like I was somebody that had listened and connected with what their operation was, and I wasn't going to screw them over. And I didn't, I wouldn't. I brought them the good ones. And if it was a cheap one, I'd say, well, this is what you might find that's going to happen with it. But you get my point. Whatever you do, whether it's in sales, whether you're a mechanic, whether you're building houses, whether you're, whatever it is, you bring yourself to that. But you got to be excited about the opportunities that you've got. I'm looking back. You guys are over here in this part of your life. I'm already out here. And I can't believe I'm here, by the way. I mean, to sit here and say I'm 63, I'm looking at you through eyes that I still feel like I'm 20. I love downhill skiing. I love hang gliding. I like being active. And my body is telling me, hey, you got to let your brain catch up to where your body's at. I'm saying, need never get old. I'm not. I'm one of those guys. I want to go into the grave sliding with every bruise, that whole thing, right? I want to keep going. I'm going to keep moving because that's the joy of living. That's what's fun about it. I really don't know what the extent of the next stages of where I'm going to be. But it's, you know, maybe I will go to MIT and see if I can get them to let me come in there for some time and figure out gravity. But I've got a lot of other things in the iron. It's just amazing the things that are out there, that, especially when you can take your time and decide how I'm going to do that, right? So there's no different than me being out here at 63. You're at the start of it. You say, well, you can get paid for it. I don't need to get paid for it anymore. I can just go do. But you get to choose what you want to do and get paid for it. All right? Any questions about my careers that I brought up? Yeah.
How much did you make off those houses? That was.
How much what?
How much did you make off, like, building those houses?
Oh, how much did I save, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that
those are yours?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I built, each one of those were for me and my wife and our kids. As we went through different places we lived. 7 houses total that we did. I finished the basements, and I had one builder, I had the builder do the frame, roof, and that kind of thing. Right. And then others I built right from the ground up. First one was when I was in high school, and then I built my first log home out in Virginia. And you just learn as you go. I didn't have the money to buy like everyone else, so it's like, well, I'll do what I can. I do feel bad for you guys in terms of how expensive everything has gotten. It's just crazy how much money everything costs to have. But yeah, if you can click on YouTube, you can build a house. I'm telling you, there's nothing that's not out there that's not on YouTube. But yeah, get excited about all the opportunities you got ahead of it. Any other questions? Thank you for that. Anybody want to become a silo unloader repair guy? Climb in there and chase those rats? Yeah? No? Anything about hang gliding? Anything about being a youth pastor? Ahmed?
Abdi.
Abdi?
Abdi, wake up.
Abdi! Am I that boring?
Abdi, come on. Abdi.
Well, I won't keep you then if you had no other questions. But again, remember, don't park in your doubts. Move forward. Be excited about your life, and make the contributions that you're going to make. They're pretty cool. Feel free to come talk to me if you don't know at all what you want to do. I'd love to just chit chat with you about that.
Where in Wilmer were you?
The church was Wilmer Assembly of God. It's right off 71.
That's where my mom lives, right behind Menard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right in that area.
It's a nice community. I enjoyed that. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.